This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a Central Otago artist is bestowed the highest Queen's birthday honour. Record numbers turn out for Queenstown's Luma Light Festival. And punks in Oamaru duel with tea and biscuits. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. Otago's newest and only knight to be named in this year's Queen's Birthday Honours list believes his honour comes from the growing maturity of New Zealanders as a people and as a nation. He's thankful to family and friends who allowed him to indulge in what he refers to as his strange hobby.
His inspiring view. Otago's Sir Graham Sidney surveys the landscape he's famous for painting. He says he's fortunate to have received the highest Queen's Birthday honour for capturing his surroundings on canvas.
For me, it means that it's a recognition of how much affection some people hold for Central Otago, and I'm one of those fortunate people who have, by sheer chance, not by deliberate campaign or policy, happened to have spent my time trying to put into a permanent form what I love about this place, and it seems to have mattered to other people too.
Sir Graham says in his case, much of the support he receives comes from family, friends and associates who've made it possible for him to pursue this strange hobby, as he calls it.
This is just a recognition that places like this matter, and that people who do a job like me, helping build our culture and bring attention to things through artwork in whatever form it takes, that's how a nation identifies itself eventually, and that matters too.
His 5-decade career spans a few different types of media, including oil painting, watercolour, egg tempera, lithographs, etching and photography. Sir Graham says he's lived south of the Waitaki River for most of his life, and is grateful the scenes he's well known for painting are literally at his doorstep.
Every day I wake up to this sort of magnificence, and it's a wonderful theatre. It's a daily theatre. The show changes every hour.
Sir Graham has advocated on various environmental issues, including the successful Save Central campaign, and he was a founding member of the Central Otago Wilding Conifer Control Group. Sir Graham was made an officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit at New Year's in 2004. In Central Otago, the South Today.
Drivers of two cars that collided in central Dunedin this morning were lucky not to be seriously injured. Police say the crash happened at the intersection of Hanover and Cumberland Street just before 8 a.m. The collision between a station wagon and a four-wheel drive vehicle partially blocked the roadway for some time. An ambulance was not called for, but police say nurses from the nearby Dunedin Hospital were able to give assistance at the scene. The public came out in droves to enjoy this year's Light Festival in Queenstown over the weekend. What started off as a small event in 2016 has grown into a massive undertaking, with over 50,000 visitors expected to go through their gates over 4 nights.
After being away last year due to COVID-19, the Luma Southern Light project illuminated the Queenstown Gardens again with all manner of spectacular and inventive light displays over the long weekend.
We have everything from the largest origami boat in the southern hemisphere to gardens of mushrooms to performance to elves and pixies. We've got roaming fairies back again, and we've got everything. We've even got a place to worship.
For the first time, visitors aged over 12 were charged a $5 entry fee, but organiser Duncan Forsyth still expected more than 50,000 people to attend the immersive experience.
Easily the best arts festival in New Zealand, Southern Hemisphere, great place for the family, great place for you to get lost in, forget about all the last couple of years, immerse yourself in it, a sensory experience.
A free bus service operated from Frankton to help visitors attend the event without parking issues. In Queenstown, the South today.
A multiple car crash in central Invercargill resulted in smashed vehicles and debris littering the road this afternoon. Up to 5 vehicles were involved in the incident, which happened at about 2:30 p.m. at the intersection of 4th and 8th Street, with one vehicle left in the middle of it. Tyre marks were visible from the pavement to the car, with rubble fallen from a wall. Police say there were no reports of injuries. Fans of steampunk were treated to a series of duels during this last weekend's steampunk festival. But rather than facing each other off with swords or pistols, the duellers were limited to dunking biscuits into cups of tea to settle their disputes.
A crowd turned up to watch the tea duelling contests as part of the annual Steampunk New Zealand Festival in Oamaru. Leslie Craven, who adopts the moniker of Colonel Sir Julius Hawthorne when he's at steampunk gatherings, says tea duelling is a genteel way of resolving disagreements.
Tea duelling is a very civilised activity. It's how steampunks settle disputes, whatever the disputes may be. It may be something as important as my hat is better than yours, or it may be the husband wants to buy a chainsaw. We've had all of those things.
The two duellists sit opposite each other and try to make a biscuit soaked in tea last longer than their opponent's biscuit.
On command from the tiffin master, myself, they select a biscuit from a tray in front of them, and on a further command they dunk it into their tea to a count of 5 from the audience. On 5 it comes out. At that point, of course, it is soggy and eventually it's going to fall apart in various entertaining ways. The objective of the duellists is to get it into their mouth before it does that and be the last one to do that.
Craven says the rules of the joust are well defined in steampunk circles.
There is various terminology involved. The getting to the mouth is called a clean nom, for instance, but we needn't go into all the technicalities.
Monday was the last day in this year's 4-day Steampunk Festival. In Oamaru, the South today.
Still to come on the South today, we hear the latest in rugby news and we hear about the man who ran the equivalent of Mount Everest on Baldwin Street. We'll see you after the break.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Introducing Tussock Country, New Zealand's hot new country music festival. 9 days, 30 plus events and unlimited southern hospitality. Plan your visit and buy tickets today.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. A remnant of the Port Chalmers shipbuilding industry that the Dunedin City Council left without a roof for 4 years is to be evaluated by an expert. The former Sims engineering building is to be examined by an architect to see what protection work is needed. 2 years ago, it was discovered that asbestos had contaminated soil at the site. The council is yet to clean up that site. During its 10-year plan deliberations, the council rejected a request for $700,000 towards clearing away any remaining asbestos and stabilising an earth bank at the site. A dairy farmer from Henley set out to run a marathon on Saturday, but ended up climbing up Mount Everest. Harjinder Singh Chanda originally planned to run up Dunedin's Baldwin Street 57 times, which is the same distance as a marathon. But he was still feeling good after reaching that goal, so he continued running. More than doubling his original goal, he eventually ran 138 circuits of Baldwin Street, which is more than the distance up Mount Everest. He chose to run the last lap in his gumboots. Singh's efforts have already raised more than $2,000 towards mental health charities. Coming off a sizable home win at the weekend, the Highlanders are crossing the Tasman this week to take on the Brumbies in Canberra. This week's fixture could be Highlanders star outside back Michael Collins' last one with his home team, as his other homeland is cooling.
Mild-mannered Highlanders outside back Michael Collins isn't prone to emotional outbursts, but suffice it to say he's really proud of how the team played at the weekend.
I think we did a bloody good job at it, to be honest, compared to what it would be. I think Josh and Mitch controlled the game really well, same with Kane and Whiskey when he came on, but that's always the danger, is that a team's throwing the ball, throwing offloads. There's a lot of opportunities to score. Everyone sort of tries to take them, but yeah, I think that was probably as good as we were going to get on the weekend, which was pleasing.
The Highlanders bagged a 59-23 bonus point victory against the Waratahs at Forsyth Bar Stadium on Saturday night. However, Collins is headed back to Wales at the end of the season, having signed a 2-year deal with Ospreys.
Coming back from overseas 5 or so years ago, playing one super was the goal, so to tick off 50 before shooting away is pretty special for me.
Collins says he's looking forward to the short trip across the ditch, which could bode well if results go their way.
It's going to be tricky, but it's exciting. I think probably what we've done the last 4 weeks, we've sort of put ourselves in a position where we actually have the chance to control what we're doing, come play our football. So for Highlanders, that's pretty good.
Highlanders assistant coach Ricky Flutie says they know what the Brumbies are like on home turf.
Yeah, I mean, Brumbies are going to be, you see their game against the Hurricanes. The intensity they brought to that game. They're also, we know that they play really well at home. They're coming off a back of a win against the Hurricanes. So we, as we do with all the Aussie teams, we're going into this game respecting them and respecting their game.
The Highlanders versus the Brumbies match is set to kick off at 8:45 p.m. New Zealand time at GIO Stadium in Canberra this Saturday night. If successful, the Highlanders may well contest the final of the Trans-Tasman Super Rugby competition. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, the local wildlife hospital gets a funding boost and we check out the weather.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
Welcome back. More injured native birds will be able to be cared for now that Dunedin City councillors have decided to grant the local wildlife hospital a funding boost. $75,000 has been allocated to the charity wildlife hospital each year for the next 3 years. The hospital had been at risk of losing its most senior and crucial employee, Dr. Lisa Argia, but the extra cash is expected to save her position. The hospital's trust says corporate sponsorship had dropped off and fundraising dried up during the COVID-19 pandemic. The bailout is described as a huge relief for the hospital. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. A Central Otago artist has been bestowed the highest Queen's Birthday honour. Record numbers turned out for Queenstown's Luma Light Festival. And punks in Oamaru have duelled with tea and biscuits. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden.
Good evening, Sophie. How are you?
Good evening. Very well. How are you?
Good, very good. It's been a busy
Nice.
old day out there today after the long weekend, so hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully plenty of good news in the paper tomorrow. And speaking of hopefully good news, the Sports Hall of Fame. It's been an ongoing story, obviously. What will happen to it? Needs more funding. It's in the Dunedin Railway Station where it's been for 20 odd years. So watch this space. We're hoping there'll be a very good story in tomorrow's paper regarding the Hall of Fame and what's going to happen to that. So
Nice.
I don't know if you've been, but it's well worth a look. Really interesting. Got some great stuff in it, and he's hoping it can stay in Dunedin for a long time yet. That would be grand. Another interesting story is about poaching. No, nothing to do with your eggs, but hunting illegally. It's becoming more of an issue in the south. Obviously, we've got around Dunedin and southern places, we've got a lot of hunting areas, and it is official. The south is the worst area in New Zealand for illegal hunting, for poaching. So we are looking into that issue and talking to a landowner who's had enough. He's constantly coming across hunters illegally on his land, and he's lobbying the government for a bit of a law change to try and get that sorted out. So kind of an interesting topic, and one perhaps a lot of people haven't thought too much about, but pretty serious stuff.
Okay.
And rezoning of land, that's always a great topic. So we're looking into some of that land around the sort of Mosgiel area, up above Gladstone Road there, and residents unhappy with the proposed rezoning of the area. I think it's rural residential, and the proposal is it goes to general residential. So it is all happening in Mosgiel, as you know, Sophie. All the best people live out there. Not naming names, so that'll get a lot of people interested, I think. And nurses. So tomorrow, of course, is the proposed nurses' strike. We're going to see quite a lot of nurses locally not on the job. We're keeping right on top of that issue and talking to the Southern District Health Board and the nurses themselves about what they can expect, but a lot of interest in how that goes, and I guess a lot of sympathy with nurses from many people, and others who perhaps might have had operations delayed will be getting quite frustrated, but either way a huge issue for the hospital locally. So all that, and as usual, much more.
Alrighty, thank you, Hayden. And now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Looking at the situation, a ridge of high pressure will dominate for the next few days, with a cold front expected to brush past the far south early Thursday, bringing only a brief period of light showers and southwesterly winds. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, mostly sunny with 16 degrees in Greymouth and 15 in Westport. To the northeast, mostly sunny here as well, with 17 degrees in Nelson and 16 in Blenheim. Moving to Canterbury, sunshine and 14 degrees in Kaikoura, mostly sunny and 13 in Christchurch, and partial cloud and 13 in Ashburton. Heading to the southern towns, light northerlies and fine conditions with 13 degrees in the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. To the Central Lakes area, light winds and fine conditions in most areas as well, with 11 degrees in Queenstown, 12 degrees in Wanaka and 13 degrees in Alexandra. Te Anau can expect moderate northwesterlies, cloud and 11 degrees. To the northern towns, light winds and fine conditions with 14 degrees on the coast in Timaru and Oamaru and 13 inland in Twizel and Marama. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with a low of 5. Fine and mostly sunny tomorrow, but some light cloud at times, mostly early morning and late afternoon. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, light northeasterly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 7. Overcast on Thursday and a chance of brief light showers around the middle of the day as winds tend moderate southwesterly, a high of 13 and a low of 6. And in Invercargill, fine tonight with light frosts and a low of 0. Sunny periods at first tomorrow, but high cloud increasing and thickening during the day. Moderate northerly winds developing, a high of 14 and a low of 7. A period of cloud and showers on Thursday morning with southwesterlies freshening but becoming fine during the afternoon and winds decreasing, a high of 12 and a low of 3. That's all for our news this Tuesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.